We're live. This is exciting. I feel like now I'm like, we're live every week.
There's pressure to being live.
There's pressure to be live.
Pressure is privilege.
Yeah. I'm like, is my hair okay?
It's great. Know. Now I have to show up like to the podcast looking a little bit better than sometimes I do.
That's fast.
But well, this is an exciting conversation today. We have I don't know if either one of them have been 5-timers yet for the robe that we never give people, that we say always say we're going to give people.
I'm going to remedy that this year. I'm writing it down right now. Buy robes. Okay.
We have a joke that we're going to do robes for people that are 5-timers on the podcast. But we are joined by Lauren Hall from the USA Cycling Foundation and Kate Veronneau from Zwift today. And both of you have been podcast guests multiple times before. Both are very entrenched in women's cycling. And so we want to kind of talk about what do we think's happening with women's cycling in 2026, and even more so leading into a big year in the United States in 2028 for the LA Olympics. So welcome back to the show, y'all. What's been going on? What y'all been up to this in 2026 ? Lauren, you just had a birthday.
I just celebrated a birthday.
Yay,
I'm
happy birthday,
47. Gosh, isn't it funny? Like birthdays, you just kind of like, am I really this old? I don't feel this old, but yeah, life is good, man. I don't know, just doing the thing. I'm down here in Tucson, nice weather, and I'm running right now for a little bit of change, just while it's a little bit of the off season from travel and from bike racing. And I've decided to sign up for a 50K trail race, Black Canyon trail race, coming up in 2 weeks. So I'm officially in the taper. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yes. So it's been a fun process to see how this all plays out. And thank God I have a coach, bless his heart, Corey Hart. Shout out, Corey.
Thank you, Corey.
Otherwise, yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Isn't it funny that runners tend to start cycling because they get injured running, but then cyclists get a little burnout on cycling, so they start trail running.
Oh, totally.
Like this cycle.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. And it's just something completely different, right? Being on the trail and not worrying about my mile pace, because I've never really been keen on anything like that. But just going out there and putting in the time and seeing the progression is just. And then you're like, well, you were an elite athlete. Like, do the same thing was with cycling. It's like, I don't know. It just is. It translates different or something.
Yeah.
It's also such a great tool to have like in your toolbox when you are traveling, to just be able to carry a pair of running shoes.
I'm so jealous of that. The simplicity. Yeah. I can't run. Like, I'm told I shouldn't run because of my old basketball knees, too many stairs. Yeah, but I miss it. I love it. So
that's nice.
Yeah. And you're getting ready to have a lot of travel too, Kate.
I am. I'm packing up my bike and I'm taking off back on the road after been home for about 2 months in Vegas and loving that. Nice scene here, great community. And now I am hitting the road. I'm going to start with a women's bike tour in Calpe and then work remotely from Europe for a little bit and get some work done over there. Planning for next year's Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
Yeah.
Yes. What's that? I've never heard of it.
It is a kick-ass race.
Oh my God. How much do we love it? Like, there was a swipe emoji. It'd be like all the way to the.
Yes.
All the way.
Oh,
to
yeah.
the top. So
it goes to 11.
It goes higher than that, Kate. That's like, for me anyway.
Well, Kate, what other, will you be at some of the spring classics?
I'm not sure yet. I hope to make it over to some of them. I've got a Zwift trip in Mallorca, and I've got, I'm trying to get to some sort of bike race, but we'll see. I don't know yet. I'd love to see Milan San Remo, but it might be tough this year. I know. Cool. Yeah. So we'll see.
Every year we try to get Kate to Unbound.
I know. Real dirt.
Is this going to be the year?
It could be. Who knows? It's just shaping up. I mean, I was going to be in Spain and now I'm not. So
it sounds like it's your year. You could ride the 100 with the Ali Tetra.
I have been riding a bunch too. I've started off the year pretty strong. So
nice. Oh, nice.
Well,
I'm not holding my breath. So.
But if you listen to this and think Kate should be at Unbound, send us a message. Well, I wanted to chat with both of you because you Kate more on the World Tour side, and then Lauren with the USA cycling side, although we've run into you several times at the Tour de France Femmes. Lauren, you think a lot about women's road cycling. And so I just am curious, we've seen a massive evolution in the last 5 years. So what is the state of women's road cycling? Like, how are we doing? What's the temperature right now, I guess is the question.
Is that to Kate or to me?
Both of you.
No, I'll start if you don't mind, Kate.
Please.
Okay, cool. Because we just finished up Cyclocross Worlds, and if you look at USA's results, the elite women really weren't there. But if you look at our U23 women, you had Vita Lopez do really well. You had Lydia Cusack do really well, and Alison Sarkisov do really well in the top 10. And all of those ladies raced prospectively more so in mountain bike and road scene. And I think that is kind of a telling sign of where we are in the US. It's more, I think we're more in a development year, minus your Kristen Faulkner, your Chloe Dygert, right? They're there. They've made it. They're there. And they're going to live there until they're ready to retire. But I think that newer group is starting to crop up, and you've got CCB now is really focused on the U23 side. They've got Megan Garnier now directing for them. Mm-hmm. You've got Speed Block Tarun, also having Daphne Karaganis come in and direct that team. So it's cool to see a lot of, I think that's the movement in that direction as far as me looking through rose-colored glasses in that capacity, kind of looking at where road is going. And then, of course, you got Virginia Blue Ridge 2028. And I think she's focusing a lot more on track racing for her athletes, because she's a bit more diverse in the elite side of things with Marlace, not being an American. So, yeah, I would say that right now is such a more development crop of athletes and women in 2026.
I love to hear that, because I've heard over, the last 5 or 6 years, I heard the 3-4s were really showing up at races, and those fields were getting bigger, and that's hopefully translating now to Cat 2s and Cat 1s. I've heard great things about, the participation at the races that there are, but we all know there's a bit of a struggle with how many races there are. Yeah. So it's every time we're going to get a new one with Philly, I'm so excited. Yeah. But, we've lost a lot of races in the last couple of years, and that's frustrating, and definitely it's definitely a challenge that we, need to kind of group think about, how to bring some races back, and how to make sure that race organizers are incentivized, to make it happen. And that's not one thing that's going to happen. It's it's a lot of conversations and a lot of thinking that has to go into how they're structured and who the audience is, and, how to get the best numbers out to races.
And even using gravel to supplement into these different disciplines. The USA Cycling just announced their extended gravel series for the juniors. So this is 15, 17-year-olds, which is so cool, right? Because that's such a entry point, and gravel racing is taken over the US. It's either gravel racing or crit racing is really kind of the big races in the States. Yeah. So, I like to think of gravel as the gateway drug for for the other disciplines. And I think that's great to see. And those races are all across the US. So it's not just in SoCal, or, there's SBT, there's going to be Unbound and some of those, but it's not just the big showcase races. It's more of the just all across the board gravel races. And I just think that's going to feed into, and hopefully, like you're saying, Kate, some of the Philly races, and even some of the smaller races, like Valley of the Sun's about to happen down here. Yeah. Tucson Bicycle Classic is right after that. Then you go to Tour de Bloom. You've got Gila and Redlands still. Those are staples that are still on the calendar. Awesome to have those races. And Redlands is bringing back the Collegiate All-Stars that Nature Valley Grand Prix used to have. So
nice.
So again, I think a lot has gone more towards the Devo and collegiate age group of women, because I think that's kind of where the sport for us has gone, right? When I started racing, I was 28, right? And I think that's now trending to a younger crowd, which I hope is like the growth of the sport. But yeah, but we have lost races, which kind of is just such a bummer. And it sounds like, I don't know, I don't want to speculate, but it sounds like Maryland is on the fence.
Oh no.
So,
well, that was kind of going to be my follow-up question to what Kate was saying, was just like, especially if you're kind of new to the scene, like what were the big races that were on the calendar that have gone away? And B, like as a follow-up to that, like even where, because I see, I've been helping with the Unbound, the junior races for USAC, bringing those into Unbound. We did that last year with a smaller series, and this year's it's expanded. Like, what role can gravel play where you've already got opportunity and development that can lead to professional road cyclists out of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the races that are no longer here, Chad Sperry does the Oregon Trail, but he also at one time had Cascade Cycling Classic. Oh, wow. And that was like a fall staple. That thing was so much fun because it was like end of season and everybody kind of was more relaxed, and we had all float the river afterwards. Like, God, it was such a fun race. Nature Valley. Nature
Valley was huge.
Yeah.
Nature Valley was also the one that like East meets West, and we brought Euro teams over for it. Because I was East Coast. I was like Fitchburg, and I never got to do Joe Martin, but like Speed Week, Fitchburg, Nature Valley was like as far west as I got. But I love
Joe Martin's gone too, right? Like that was a big one.
Yeah, Joe Martin. Yeah.
All the money that's been putting in that region for cycling, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's just kind of like ebbed towards gravel, which I'm sure is a bit more affordable to put on a race. I don't know. I've never put on a race. Christy, you can speak on that.
It's not that affordable. Okay. Well, I mean, I think it is, when you're talking about this level, when you're talking about that pro level, it's like, that's all been leveled up. So as it should be. Like, I'm not, we're definitely getting to where those expenses that come with, a lot of the safety protocols that are now in there, like, gravel came from, you kind of race what you've brung, and it's an adventure. And now it's turned, as it's gotten more professional, that's all leveled up. And I'm like, that's just the way it goes. I mean, you still have those opportunities. But road is just so different from the perspective of like, you can't even do a smaller race on the road without the safety precautions, because there's just, gravel. I could go out and never see a car around here. And that's just not the same. If I go ride the roads around here, I'm definitely seeing cars. So,
there's so much to be said too about the atmosphere of gravel and just the friendliness and, the amount of layers you can have in terms of like, it can be family friendly, but you can also have some of, the best pros in the world there. So there's something.
Sure. We do that on road too.
We do too. Some stuff.
Yeah.
Road's intimidating. I think it's the intimidation factor is more what I'm getting at. Yeah. And I think, and that's more about also just kind of creating local scenes where, people can get into racing. And that's how I came up with a amazing, little community in Lehigh Valley where there was a Thursday night crit in the bike park, or in the park with, it had a nice like track, and then at the velodrome, and then, also just like a good Saturday ride that was sort of or Sunday ride that was a race, race for that, and just having that local scene to kind of come up through. And
100%.
Has gone away a little bit. I mean, I have a lot of respect for all the race organizers that put those on for years, because it's hard and it's a thankless task often. So I think if there's other ways that we can kind of identify, what some of those biggest challenges are, and then work to tackle those, because it's very hard to put on a race,
For sure.
There are a lot, do they do well in like industrial parks and things?
I'll say the Tucson Velodrome has opened just
cool.
this season. Cool. The first in the world only aluminum velodrome, which the thing is so awesome, you guys. It's not, you think like aluminum foil or aluminum
no, it feels
stadium seating. It's like it's sand or what is it called? Where they pressure wash it, but it's like sand sprayed or whatever. So it's just, it's muted, so it doesn't reflect. It's the coolest track. We've gotten out there. You have a certification class. It's super chill. They give you all the ins and outs and how this track is organized. And then boom, you're out there, you have an hour, and of course there's tons of bikes to rent, and they just had their first ever race there. And I was like, this is awesome.
Velodromes are a fabulous way to like build community and like create family friendly events and create leagues and ways to kind of move up through the ranks. That's where I come from. I love it.
The lights are on, and then we were out there getting certified, and it was right at sunset. And we were just like, what is this? It was a beautiful sunset. I was like, this is freaking awesome. So it's funny you said the velodrome. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, it definitely brings a sense of community and a different type of racing that transfers and translates to being more efficient in road racing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it is interesting what you mentioned about gravel too, Lauren, because, forever it was like gravel was very like lone wolf racing, and now it's because like everybody's talking about how important knowing how the skills and the racing in the peloton has become, and so it is becoming more similar at the elite level to where they're getting a better actual race experience, that could translate.
And it's been interesting to watch the evolution of gravel, because again, here in Tucson, a lot of people have come down to train, and you start to see the ladies kind of glob together, and you kind of like, they're not on the same team, but they're all training together, and you're like, I wonder if it's going to translate to some tactics this summer. Again, just speculating, but it's fun to watch, but you go back to Unbound last year, and there was a crash, and the women were talking about how that, just the Peloton movement, and that they're not really used to that in gravel, right? It's just used to just being on your own and going, and that's going to be a learned skill.
Yeah. And that's why you need those training races and that local scene. You got to be able to, learn how to bump elbows and learn how much space you need to make a move. And there's a lot of technical skills that can be gained in those kind of scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was kind of my thing, because people are like, well, you shouldn't be able to race in the elite field unless you have these skills. I'm like, well, where are you going to get the skills unless you're racing?
100%. I'm like, it's all, we're still developing. That women's pro field is still developing, and it's I think it's just really cool to get to just be on the front row seat watching it happen. But watching the women's pro road races, it's like there's so much you can learn just watching it. And I think that's why that coverage is even more important when you're talking about development, is that if you don't get to see it, you're not learning. And so, being able to see the Tour de France Femme in its entirety is important. Like it teaches you lessons. Just getting to see the last, hour or 2 hours of it doesn't count. We need to see the whole thing. Like that was
also like, I can't tell you how many times when they'll show a finishing shot, like the helicopter view of a sprint finish of one of the spring classics or anything like that. And I'll watch it over and over and over again to see, one, how the winner won, where they came from. I'll watch, then I'll key in on maybe a favorite that didn't win, why, what, how they were positioned or whatever like that. Right. And I'll just like go through, or if there's a crash, like what happened, how did it happen? And like the final 5K, like I just love to like replay those over and over just to get a sense for how it flowed and how the team either like had the lead out dialed or lost it. And, I just, that stuff jazzes me up.
The how the race was won videos are always great. I love.
Oh man, he's so good.
Just going through like it's we're doing this sport that has so much depth to it, so many tactics that you just don't even know about. You think because of the simplicity of riding a bike versus racing a bike in a tight pack, in a long race, and all the things that you need to master to be able to do that well. It's incredible. One of the things I am seeing in terms of like evolution, where cycling is going, I've loved seeing there's a lot more women's communities that are cropping up. And these, like when Lauren and I got into racing, 20 years ago, they were not a thing. Like we got into racing by just like mostly probably riding with the local dudes. And I know I'm getting introduced to so many of these communities through Zwift, because they have like a club on Zwift, or they've hosted a watch party for the tour. And it's so beautiful to see, because they are hosting, local rides, local races, like how to race, like how to do a crit. They're doing like these skills and drill sessions, mechanic sessions. We're self-serving, this is like something that women do in all sports, is like we see a little success or we enjoy a little bit of we're progressing in the sport, and we look behind us and say, who can we pull up? And I love that just, collaborative element of women working together to get women over the barriers that they faced. And I love the community aspect. I'm really seeing so much grassroots growth all over the world. And that's something that's really going to help us, get more women into racing, get them organized, get them knowing the skills and drills to be able to perform and to enjoy the bike safely.
Yeah. Well, I do love that. And I think it's the same thing Lauren was saying, like seeing all the groups come together and train in Tucson, because I do think people used to just train lone wolf for stuff like that. And now it's like, oh, we need to learn these skills, or we want this community as we're.
Plus, it's just way more fun.
So much more fun.
I mean, seriously, like how cool would that be if your job changed from like having to go do these massive solo efforts, like in the freezing cold in the Midwest somewhere, to like, oh, I'm going to go to Tucson and ride the shootout and do training rides with a bunch of other women. And like that's way more fun as a pro athlete. You're way more incentivized to, stay to work and figure that out. Like that's fun.
Different ways to train. I saw, again, social media, the grace of it. I saw Hannah Shell was training with Sophia and Sophia's coach, Carmen Small. And whatever Hannah might be able to glean off of Sophia, right? And vice versa. She followed her and they did efforts on limit or something. And it's just like, what does it look like as far as really going for it, or, your tempo riding out and back. And again, like I find
when you think you're going hard and then you're like, oh, I can,
exactly.
there's another notch. And I just I've not been willing to go there and getting forced to go there to find that other notch.
Oh, I liked the group that I saw, and I'm like, okay, how did this group get together? It was Lauren LDC. It was
Alexis
Scarda.
Not Cecile, the other one.
Cecily Decker.
Cecily. Kate Courtney and Kristen Faulkner. And I'm riding like a gas station ride up the coast. Like,
the bodega ride. Yeah.
I was like, how did this come together?
Or like Kate Courtney and Kristen riding together. Again, strength is strength. And two top level athletes, like what can I glean from you and you from me? Also the professional side of their lives, like, Kate has her She Sends Foundation and Kristen does a lot of, I guess, private equity stuff and they're both that Silicon Valley kind of mentality. And I'm sure, there's a little bit of professional development on those rides as well.
Yay, women's cycling!
Those two are so great for the sport. They are so great for the sport, The way they carry themselves, the way they give back, the way they share their experience.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal.
Well, and I feel like the guys have had like people that are like, you should take this money and invest it in this real estate thing. And you should do that. Like they've helped them think about how to be savvy with the money they're making for a long time. So it's fun to see women coming together that, have those skills.
We never had this much money to invest.
No.
That is true.
Until now.
You talk about, but yeah, exactly. And I do like just kind of even circling back to the Zwift piece. I think that has been that's been so key in developing those women's groups because there's a safety to it. There's a security blanket that's there that lets you naturally kind of take a step in without being super exposed, so to speak, or like super uncomfortable. You're doing it in the privacy of your own basement or living room or whatever, getting some experience, meeting some people, finding out what you can and can't do. And then you feel better when you end up joining a group in real life. And I think that's
my dream of the platform is that women get on it and they are sort of like, because maybe they, for one reason or another, they didn't want to get out on the road right away.
Yeah.
And they get on Zwift and they build up the confidence. They get to ask the questions. They build up the strength to take on,
oh my God, we hosted
their first anything. I love that. Like that's all I've ever wanted.
It's great. Yeah. We hosted a Zwift 101 class at the bike shop last week. Oh my God. It was so much fun. Like the women that were there that were learning, like the in-game experience, like even me, like, I'm like, I want to go because I just get on and do my usual thing. Like I've always done. And I'm like, I want to learn more. And it was cool to see these women just being like, okay, now I'm going to try that. And,
I love
even
it.
if it's just like 6 or 7 women, like it's just really fun to watch that curiosity be piqued and then translate to, part of the sport. So
we've had that entire winter training too. Like a lot of women, we've been getting some feedback back, and a lot of people said, I never knew how to connect all my tools or use all my tools appropriately, or I felt intimidating to like figure out how to get my training peaks and my Zwift to work together, all these, and like they're using them now.
Yeah,
and they're
awesome.
Like I was able to get my training in because I could do it when it's snowing or it's dark or it's cold.
That's the thing, the efficiency and just being able to like fit it in. We're busy, women take on a lot. And so to know that, we've got an hour free, we can get that in. That's huge.
Yep.
Well, speaking of, let's talk a little bit about European. What's happening over in Europe and Women's World Tour. Kate, so we're about 5 years in of Zwift really sponsoring things and investing. Like, what are you seeing? Obviously, there's a lot happening in women's pro peloton, but what are some things you're seeing?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think I often come across as like, the unofficial hype woman for like pro cycling, for like the World Tour, for Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Because
I don't think you're the unofficial. I think you are the official. You're not.
No, look at my room.
It's you and Scotty right there.
Right there. But
anyway,
I'm so delighted. There's been so many amazing milestones hit, so much great progress, but it doesn't make me like ignorant to also that it exposes some of the challenges in the sport and some of the weakness in the structure. And, this sport's hard. The model of cycling is hard. And it's like, we feel like we have to play, we have to play within the structure we have. And so like getting a women's tour is like the no-brainer to get that like massive global visibility you need to get people invested, interested, fanning women's cycling, and to create that opportunity. The visibility has to come first. But with that visibility now, with the success of the tour, it is exposing the cracks at the surface. And somebody I've been following very closely who's very outspoken and really wonderful about creating the awareness around it because she's like deep in it. Natasha Knaven de Odin, I'm not going to say it correctly, but she was one of the founders of AG Insurance Sudal team and is heavy into development and often like very outspoken on what she's seeing is like literally like the gaps in development and if teams or races are folding or why, and that, the success of the top level of the sport is, really shining a light on the structural weaknesses that really need to be addressed. And I do feel like this is like, all I want is, a sustainable sport. Absolutely. And while I'm so delighted with the success of the tour, I'm very much focused this year on having a lot of conversations with teams and riders, race organizers, and really I need to like do a deep dive of where, like how we can best identify where these gaps are and how we can address them. Like that's, this is, it is a business and, but it's also a great moment for women's sports where I think there's actually a lot of things out there that can help. We can learn a lot from other sports. Women's, the women's side of cycling being so new, we do have the opportunity to do things a little bit differently, even like the tour being 9 stages, the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift being 9 stages, I actually think is a great thing in terms of, I'd like it. I definitely want to get to like, 2 weeks, maybe 2 rest days, but I don't think
it needs to be 21 days.
Replicate the men's side of the sport. Like, that was designed in the 19th century and this is the 21st century. And like, we need to be able to work with modern audiences and all the competition we have for eyeballs and modern media platforms. And also, I think it's going to take a deep, we got to take a deep look at how cycling is modeled. And if there is, I know there's room for improvement, but it's going to take some really good conversations with the right people to advocate and to get some changes made. So,
and the crazy is like, you know, I was talking to a world tour director, and, you know, she was talking about how we now have all of these races, which is awesome. But now you have to fill a team for every single one of those races, and you're split squad, and you're, you know, then you're really stretching your staff, and you've already stretched your budget. But it's just like, is this a female thing of like, you give it to us and we're going to like, well, we'll just make it happen, you know, because we wanted this and now we've got it. Like, oh, okay. And I wonder if that's one of the cracks that you're referring to. I don't want to.
Absolutely.
You know, okay.
Yeah. Some of the things that I know that, you know, need to be addressed are the gaps in development, you know, either, you know, women kind of falling off at some point because there isn't a next step, or being asked to do too much when they're too young.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, smoothing out that development pathways with more Conti teams, more races. I think Natasha has a proposal she talked about on one of the podcasts that I'm really excited to hear about. I'm sure it's some sort of league or something. You know, we've got to create some structures that are sustainable in the sports. So you're not going after new sponsors every year, not going after, you know, new money each time to build something. And it's really challenging. In cycling, you know, there are no franchises, there's no ticket sales, there's no merch. It's a very unique sport. All the revenue from media rights go to race organizers. Mm-hmm. That's unheard of in any other sport.
Yeah.
And, but what I do see in women's cycling is this incredible opportunity, these athletes that relate with audiences, these athletes that are, you know, the action is so thrilling. It's absolutely gripping right now. Mm-hmm. There's an opportunity to bring a lot of new fans into the sport. There's a lot of opportunity to bring new sponsorship into the sport. And I think we have to look outside of the traditional investors. And I'm seeing, like I saw, like it's FDJ United now. That's cool. United's back in the game. Or is that United? I don't know which United that is. FDJ United is the new team name. But yeah, like having Nike coming back into cycling, you know, Charlotte Tilbury sponsors Demi, I think. There's some interesting ones, and we can look into other women's sports and just say, hey, who's getting behind, who's playing it big right now with women's sports, and start to look into some of those realms, like women's healthcare, you know, fit tech, you know, the companies that women cyclists would be great ambassadors for, or could do, you know, do some great case studies for, do some great storytelling for. The content side of women's cycling is like top notch. It's so great with the different personalities, the global reach, and there's a lot of opportunity. And what we know now also is there's a lot more data out there on women's sports in terms of like fans of women's sports being more likely to buy a sponsor product or to remember a sponsor name, or women athletes being, you know, able to engage audience at a much higher rate than male athletes. All these things now that we didn't have before, you know, we have access to this.
On that point, you know, Stiefel basically sponsors all of U.S. ski and snowboard. If you look on the Olympics are about to start, right? If you watch ski and snowboard, you'll see Stiefel across everybody's chest. Well, Stiefel it's an investment firm. They've just hired on Kristen Faulkner because she speaks their language. And, you know, now like that just adds value to her and to them. And basically she goes on a speaking engagement in the fall, like four speaking engagements for Stiefel, and again can just like talk the talk. And these people just eat it up in the room. I've seen it. And like you've got her, you've got Jessie Diggins, and you know, you're just like, holy crap, like, it's just like, that's freaking phenomenal. And like you said, they speak the language and talk the talk. And also from a foundation standpoint, our supporters, what I've been told, so we usually do a trip to men's TDF and TDFF and and they say that the women's tour is so much more approachable, and it's still like it used to be for the men's. Like
Yes.
go to the VIP in the men's race, and it's just like, golly, you just can't get around, and you're just. But you go to the women's, and they don't have it like totally blocked off, and you can see the athletes, like you just walk right past them. They're not on these like two separate fences over that you're like, hey, from a distance. So it's still such an approachable sport financially and physically, which is still really, really fun.
Yeah. One of the things I think too that's going to help address this is one of the best byproducts of the visibility of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, the success of that is also women being elevated in the industry and women connecting within the industry. So you're seeing more women, at organizations, in media, in the industry, moving up in the industry, having a seat at the table, so they can kind of help make those decisions about where brands are investing and what athletes to be looking at and how to make the most out of these content opportunities. And then we're also the collaborative networking that's going on and the collaborative problem solving. So like for me, this year is all about like I want to talk to like the Cyclist Alliance and the CPA and the teams and the riders and the team organizers for especially the Conti and Pro level teams, and find out what their biggest concerns are, and then how we can start to build some spaces to have conversations to really address them, so that I can advocate the best I can from my position, with being close to the ASO, being close to being part of one of the biggest brands investing in the sport, using my voice and platform to just really help push this agenda forward, because I don't want to see it. And every time a team or race folds, like my heart breaks a bit.
Yeah.
And it was so much good going on. I don't want anybody left behind. And this is the time to address, those cracks that we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard. In this.
Well, you literally
just got here. Now it's like,
you just got there. Yeah.
You're all like, yes.
You're literally trying to
I feel it very deeply. It's like
it's
going so well, but then you're like, oh, but there's
and
all
women,
of this. We're not going to turn a blind eye.
No.
To these issues. We don't want to.
You're bringing up all the points that are so valid. Like there's an opportunity to do it differently, and in all honesty, probably a need to do it differently. Mm-hmm. It's also really hard because you're in that atmosphere where, well, this is how we've always done it.
Yep.
But you have to kind of break that mold. I'm a huge NWSL fan and been watching how their growth trajectory is just really interesting. And it feels very solid right now, in how they're doing their growth and how they're approaching things, and which I think makes it more sustainable, especially on the women's side. And I was one of the first when the very first Tour de France avec Zwift was announced, I was like, why isn't it 21 days? Women can ride 21 days. Like immediately I was like, where's the justice in that? Mm-hmm. But I've changed my mind on that. Like I definitely have been like, no, this is appropriate. This is where
you do not want to model exactly what they're doing.
Exactly. It's not only where we are, but it's probably where we should be, because last year's left me craving for more. And how cool is it to have it finish and you still want more? Whereas of the men's, I was like, is this thing over yet?
Like you get excited and then like there's like 10 days in the middle, you're like, this is still going, and then like the very end of it again.
I just stopped watching because first of all, it's so stinking predictable that at some point it's just not that much fun, and you have to figure out. Honestly, what they need to do is figure out how to tell other storylines, because just talking about the yellow jersey is boring. But
it's the same person every year,
right? I mean, with the way it is right now, it's not exciting. And I would never ask anybody to throw it in, but at the same time, like the women's is exciting because it's not all given. And I love it when they talk about periods on national TV, on international TV. I
How times have
all of
changed.
this, there's been so much more discussion, and like because we're not afraid to address it. And I think that we have to show that more than ever. And it's going to be hard. I'm scared of some of these conversations that need to be had. And I've been shut down in them before. But I'm like raising my hand to like, I'm listening, and I'm just wanting to promote this agenda very much so, because it's a beautiful sport, and it's got, the fan base is growing. These athletes clearly deserve it. There's still so much talent out there. There's so much opportunity. I feel lucky sometimes because I come from basketball. I come from a totally different world.
Sure.
I bring that energy and that perspective. And then I also got to work for Zwift, which was a company that was designed, to shake things up and to do things differently. And we bring that mentality to everything we do. And that's why, like, my Watch the Femme is not like, that's not Zwift. That's the global movement where we all work together to change the sport in the right ways, and to, advocate for parity, and also to think outside the box and do things differently, and to group think it, and to like put our heads together in it, because you see it just a little bit in the last couple of years happening, and there's been so much progress. So we just have to kind of continue that momentum, but get the right people in the rooms too, and we need some more male allies from like, some of the biggest heavy hitters between race organizers, teams, and industry. We need continued media coverage, that more advocacy for more coverage of not just the World Tour races, and maybe what about full coverage of those World Tour races? There's still so much ground to be made up, but it's amazing how far we've come. But I do recognize it's growing fast, and that comes with growth pains. And some of those are natural, and some of them we absolutely can start to work on right now.
Yeah. Well, this is so good. I feel like we could probably keep talking for another 30 minutes. But maybe to wrap up, each of us could say one or two things that we kind of have our eye on for 2026. Like we're curious about, we're watching. I would say, because I thought about this question, because I wrote my questions down. I am curious because I know Kristen Faulkner had some injury last year. So to see, how her year goes, I'm very keen on that. And then I'm curious about the World Championship, with them having the World Champion, like what that's going to bring to Canada and that World Championship race. Yeah, those two things, and lots more things, but those are kind of two curiosities I had about women's racing this year.
Nice. Lauren, what do you got?
Let's see. I would say, I don't know if you guys saw that Axel Prevot has signed with ES.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is cool. So does that, and I'm like, oh, does she get to race road, or like, what does that look like?
I think it's a combo program.
I hope so. I haven't seen, but maybe you've seen, and I'm curious if that's going to, again, like to Kate's point of like opening the door, or thinking outside the box for some of these other teams, of like blend it up a little bit. I know, like Virginia's Blue Ridge has dabbled in it a little bit, and some of the other teams have, but like, will they really own into it, or will they grab riders from gravel into, like, what does that look like? I'm curious about that. And then I'm also curious about how Pauline will defend her jersey, and like who's going to be coming after her, and like what does that look like. And we're going to be there. I can't wait. And I don't know how many stages we're going to be able to watch, but I'm so stoked to go back.
Yeah, this tour is going to be amazing. I'm definitely, the tour is always just, I'm so excited for that. And to have it stand on its own this year, no overlap. All the media will have its full attention on the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, because it starts on the Saturday after the men's ends. So that's great. I'm also very excited for Philly. Philly was my first big race. It was the race that I went to and fell in love with like pro cycling and wanted to do that, and then got to race it for a bunch of years, and a huge part of my origin story in the sport. So I'm so delighted to see that come back, and to kind of light a fire under American racing. So good to see.
Well, and that's what I would end on, is that I'm really excited to just continue watching the development of the women's peloton, and just like how all of that goes, how all of it continues to develop, like what Kate was talking about with the cracks. Where are they? How do we navigate those? And And honestly, I'm really excited to continue watching some of the women pros on the road, how they develop, and can we bring more along with that? Like, I mean, I know this is completely not the same vein, but like things like seeing Melissa and Kate Courtney announce a team to go race Cape Epic, like watching the American women find ways into the pro scene is exciting. And I just would love to see more of that, like I was following those women last year at the Zwift, it was fun. So
great.
Yeah.
Lots of things.
Well, tell us where we can find you all if people want to follow your adventures this year. Lauren, where do people find you and your alligator hunting?
I'm on Instagram. I think it's Lauren Tucker Hall. I don't even know, to be honest with you. Yes, that's where I am.
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram, my full name, Kate Veronneau, and then also Strava if you want to follow my adventures.
Oh, good point. Yeah, Strava. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for making the time to be with us today. It's always fun to see you all. Some of my favorites. So
thank you for hosting. This is always
she
a pleasure.
Says that to everybody.
I'm ending the live stream now.